Many of us use rideshare services for concerts, when our car is in the shop, or for everyday transportation. You may not have considered who is responsible when an accident occurs. Michael Carr joins us this morning to help explain. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
So I use rideshare all the time, especially hitting events downtown and things like that. So I know you're about to cover some important things. So with Uber and Lyft becoming increasingly popular in Oklahoma, many are unclear about who's responsible if an accident occurs. Can you walk us through those different scenarios of liability?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You're right. Uber and Lyft is becoming increasingly popular in Oklahoma. A lot of people use them. I use them. And so if you're in a ride and you're being transported by an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, and that driver gets into a car collision, it's that driver's fault, there is insurance coverage that can apply to help you recover for your medical expenses, your injuries. And so with Uber and Lyft, if the driver's actually driving for Uber and Lyft when the collision occurs, Uber and Lyft requires that driver to have a certain amount of insurance coverage, and Uber and Lyft's insurance coverage comes into play as well. It's a significant amount of coverage. So if you're involved in a wreck and an Uber or Lyft driver is responsible, then you should have significant coverage to help you out for compensation.
Well, this is interesting. This is something I never thought about.
Yeah.
Probably we should, at least keep in the back of our mind. So do you think you could break down what this means for someone injured in a rideshare accident in our state?
Right. So, if you're involved in a rideshare accident in Oklahoma, then just don't assume that you're only going to be limited to the amount of insurance coverage that the driver, him or herself has. Uber and Lyft have their own insurance coverage that can apply to help you out with your injuries.
Okay, and can you explain maybe the difference between maybe a Lyft driver who is transporting a person versus those who may be waiting?
Right. So if a Lyft driver or an Uber driver is just sitting, say, in a parking lot waiting for a ride to come by, well, there's not going to be as much insurance coverage that's available. But once the Uber driver is actually transporting a customer, that's when the significant amount of coverage comes into play for Uber and Lyft.
Okay, and looking at the evolving landscape of rideshare services in Oklahoma, what proactive steps should we take as passengers to protect ourselves, especially legally, before getting in one of those rides?
Right. Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot you're able to do. You're not going to know the name of the Uber driver necessarily right away or be able to do a background search. But if you get into the rideshare and the person just seems uncomfortable, the driver seems uncomfortable, or certainly not driving safely, then that's something to be on the lookout for, because a lot of times you get hopping in the car and you don't have that information. So just try to use your common sense as much as possible.
All right, Michael, we thank you so much for your expertise today. We appreciate it.
Of course, thank you.
Of course.